The large percentage of us are extremely fortunate to have been born completely normal, and we honestly take it for granted. People are born with dozens of diseases and deformities all over the world. Luckily, we live in an era when medicine is at its peak, making it possible for people to live with these conditions. Life can be difficult for children born with physical deformities, and they require all the help they can get from family members and society in order to live a normal, healthy life. While loved ones are present, children suffering from disorders, prejudice, and cruel insensitivity on the part of society make it more difficult for them. This is true for many congenital disabilities that manifest later in life. There is also the fact that disability is a numbers game in and of itself. Every person who lives long enough will become disabled. If you are wondering about babies who have no conceivable quality of life, like major organs didn't develop, and they are highly unlikely to survive without heroic medical aid, which is painful, invasive, extremely expensive, and necessitates constant vigilance to maintain life, then the situation is fairly understandable. However, if the quality of life is measured against an able-bodied, able-minded perception of quality, then people should do some serious soul-searching. For comparison purposes, being unable to use your legs is not the same as being born with major portions of your brain missing. As a wheelchair user, you can live a perfectly happy life. It's not bad, because able doesn't understand it. If your child is diagnosed with a disability in utero, you might want to consider listening to what disabled people with that condition have to say about their lives. Also keep in mind that nothing can guarantee you a healthy baby or child. A baby born seemingly healthy is not pretty much assured to stay that way, and it could be congenital or acquired. If you aren't prepared to raise a disabled child, you aren't ready to be a parent. A baby was born yesterday in Mandalan Natal Regency of North Sumatra, Indonesia, with only one eye and no nose, and doctors say her chances of survival are very slim. Dr. Atana Arianto, a Javanese citizen, received the shock of his life when his wife, Sirianta, gave birth to a cyclops baby with one eye in the middle of her forehead. According to reports, Atenas welcomed their fifth child, a baby girl, at Ramasakit in Mandala, the tile district in North Sumatra. Mrs. Atana was said to have given birth to her child naturally on Thursday. The baby weighed 5 pounds, had one eye in the middle of her forehead, no nose, and all other organs were present. Doctors rushed to place the baby in intensive care, and a hospital team checked on her every 15 minutes, but she died about 7 hours later. Dr. Saifuddin Nasutan, the head of the Mandala Natal District Health Office, reported the baby girl was born with abnormalities on the same day she was born. Because there was no nose, we had to use the oxygen hose through the mouth. Babies born with these conditions are usually delivered via a cesarean section. In general, such babies have respiratory problems and heartburn because their heart rate is less than 100 beats per minute, he adds. This is an extremely rare occurrence. We would have referred her to a median if her condition had improved, but we were aware that the baby had a very short life expectancy. The doctor suspects that the baby's anomalies are the result of mercury exposure and the rubella virus. He was suspicious because the late baby's parents reside in Kiata Village, Pine Perg City District, and work in one of the mines. In several cases, the survival rate is 1 to 3 days, but the doctor previously stated that we should be grateful if she survived 5 hours. Her overall condition is one of respiratory and cardiac complications. He stated that her heart rate is less than 100. Doctors are monitoring the baby's condition for the next few days with the goal of transferring her to a hospital 500 meters away in Medan, the capital of North Sumatra. The health department suspects that the baby's birth defect was caused by mercury poisoning, as her father is an artisanal gold miner who uses the toxic material in his work. Mercury, a well-known cause of birth defects and nervous system disorders, is used to separate gold from ore at gold mining sites all over the world. According to a report by the United Nations Development Program, Indonesia has one of the world's highest concentrations of artisanal mines, which are independent small gold mines that are often illegal and generally unsafe, exposing workers and communities to harmful chemicals. The baby, according to the doctors, this deformity could be caused by the effects of radiation and certain medications taken by the mother during pregnancy. Sad to say, the baby will not survive more than a few days due to other deformities that are not compatible with life. Nevertheless, this baby's tragic life was dreadful. A baby boy was born with humongous bulging eyes and only holes in his nose, and he ended up dead while his concerned parents hoped for a miracle to save him. The unnamed baby had died a day after being born at home to Mother Karishma in Algar, a remote village in Uttar Pradesh, northern India. The shocked mother had not breastfed the child because he was constantly staring at her. Instead, her heartbroken parents tried to spoon-feed him milk as villagers flocked to their home to catch a glimpse of the alien, according to Karishma. He was breathing normally and appeared to be in good health. He had healthy limbs, but his face was not properly formed. I was so shocked that I couldn't bring myself to breastfeed him. We had given him milk in the form of a spoon. He was fine, and he slept, but did not wake up. There was no movement the next morning. He hadn't even cried. It was approximately 4 a.m. the following morning. Because of his mysterious appearance, the boy born to Karishma and her husband Arshad, who also have a 2-year-old daughter, had been dubbed an alien by the villagers. The unfazed couple, however, was determined to raise their child and planned to take him to doctors for treatment. Arshad, a painter, claimed that his birth was God's will and that he took him away from them. They have no issues and didn't even have time to take him to the doctor. They were absolutely heartbroken. But what kind of life would he have had if he had survived? They were overjoyed to have a second child, and even more so when they discovered it was a boy. But their joy quickly turned to agony when they saw his face. People kept coming to their house to see him, thinking he was an alien. But they had decided to raise him, and they can only remember him now that he is gone. In the majority of cases, they were never truly a parent. They were both mentally and emotionally unavailable from the start. Throughout most instances, they never wanted to be a parent in the first place, so they never formed an emotional bond with the child. Unlike women who become pregnant and do not want to be parents, men can have it forced on them, which is what they believe most often leads to a man leaving his children behind. Under certain circumstances, often decades later, they claim to regret it. But in many cases they create their own family with a wife and bond with those children, making it relatively easy to move on with their lives and suppress any regret. Why are some babies born in this manner? Children are born with rare conditions and many of them have a short life. Cyclopia is not one of these conditions. Cyclopia is one of the most rare types of birth defect, and children born with it frequently die within the first few minutes of life. Cyclopia is a birth defect in which the baby is born with 1 or 2 eyes in the baby's forehead. The one eye is the result of the orbital sockets failing to form properly in the womb. Some cases of cyclopia have been linked to a rare chromosomal condition known as Pato syndrome, which is caused by a person having 3 number 13 chromosomes rather than the usual 2. Cyclopia is commonly seen in kittens, who die within the first few minutes of life because the mouth and nose are frequently affected and are either missing or non-functional. The infant cat suffocates once it leaves the womb in these cases. In a few cases of cyclopia, the same effect is observed. Human babies, children are born with functioning nose, but once born, they lack the ability to breathe outside the womb and die very quickly. While cases of cyclopia are uncommon, there are results of the presence of infants born with cyclopia in the Amsterdam Museum. Cyclopia's root cause is in the human population. There are several known causes. Each of the causes are linked to high levels of toxins in the body during fetal development. The ingestion of a toxic weed known as corn lily or vetch weed is thought to be the first cause. The weed is quite often incorrectly identified as hellebore. Hellebore is a perennial that is used to cure vomiting and cramps, two common pregnancy symptoms. Another cause of cyclopia is linked to alcoholism and diabetes, as well as mothers who are alcoholics or diabetics. Toxins can quickly accumulate in the body, and when these toxins are present during the formation of a fetus, the brain develops as one hemisphere rather than two. When the brain develops incorrectly, the orbital sockets frequently develop as one socket rather than two. As a result, cyclopia occurs.